What's going on, traders? It's Ricky with TechBot Solutions. So sorry for the late recap today. For those that don't know, we do upload daily, and pretty much what we do is Monday through Friday. It's Ricky with TechBot Solutions. I'm actually hearing myself. I always talk about just pretty much how my day played out when it came to trading, my whole thought process, my mistakes, and what I did well, in effort to promote growth for you guys, an effort for you guys to see, what it is that I did good, what did I do bad, so you guys can learn from it and adjust it according to the type of investor that you guys are. So I can't thank you guys enough for putting time aside in your day to join us for another recap. I ended up trading a series of 2 different stocks today, and that was CBIO and then JDST. I traded CBIO twice and then JDST twice as well. I was extremely busy today, so I do apologize that I wasn't, again, as active. It is the last couple of weeks within my semester here at ASU Polytechnic. Therefore, I have a lot of work that I have to complete in an effort to stay on top of my classes. So I hope you guys understand. But overall, just I can't thank you guys enough for everything that you guys do and the type of quality of content that you guys put out there within our group chats and answering everyone else's questions and taking initiative. But let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start sharing my screen. I'm going to talk about CBIO and JDST. They are actually 2 stocks that I talked about within our pre-market group chat. If you guys don't know what that is, once you get accepted to the TechBot Solutions platform, which the link is provided for you down below, it's the free networking group. And then once you get accepted, on the top pin post, there's 5 different group chats that you have access to. There's the main group chat, pre-market, technical analysis, mobile investments, and swing trading. So the pre-market movers is actually where we go and we post pre-market, what's trending, what's seeing healthy amounts of volume. And I shouted out, numerous stocks, I believe 10 to 15 different stocks that were doing pretty well when it came to volume. Had pretty good supports, resistance, saw healthy amounts of volume. And then I filtered out and I focused on 5 stocks. Then later throughout the day, ended up focusing really on just 3. It was Snapchat, CBIO, and JDST. So overall, ended up doing pretty well with that. Locked in total with my gains and my losses, $276.10 worth of profit. And I did that simply with, I traded JDST, which is one that's very common. So yesterday I traded JNUG. I did pretty well in that. JNUG today pretty much hit a peak. That means JDST, being the inverse, right, being the bear of that specific market, ended up hitting its low point, its support. So because of that, it would be considered or labeled as a good buy. I did end up holding that one overnight for the amount of shares that I had left on my second purchase. But I'm going to start sharing my screen so you guys can see and then go from there. I'm going to start answering some of your questions later on, so feel free and wait for those in just a little bit. All right. Alrighty, team. So let me go ahead and get started. So my first trade with CBIO, this one I did shout out during pre-market hours, and simply what I was doing was I saw that I had healthy amounts of volume. I knew it had a resistance as of yesterday at $6. It broke that resistance after market hours. This was as of yesterday, Monday. Ended up doing very well, peaked out at $6.90 and then came back down. Now this portion, this half, is after market hours. It did that same thing. It peaked out a little bit higher than $6.90 and then came back down. Usually what I like to see is for a hold, right? For it to show, still holding above EMA. It didn't really do that. And I'm going to get a little bit closer so you guys can see what it is that I'm talking about. Again, we don't care too much about this portion because, well, if you guys were trading it, great, but it just wasn't seeing very healthy amounts of volume. The volume really started to die out. But really what I was waiting for was a support. And although it had, a really green day, right, it was doing very well as of yesterday. Since it opened at $6, hit highs of nearly $7, so saw 10% plus of profit. All we want to wait for is the bounce. And that's initially what I was waiting for. I wanted it to be like above EMA. So I was using my TD Ameritrade platform, and then I saw a support at 610. Ended up breaking the support at 620, and then I shutted it out when it went below 610. I got filled at 611, and then ended up riding it all the way up. I knew because of the previous resistance that it had, or previous support, I apologize, a previous support that it had at $6.40. Once it broke below it, that was going to be the new resistance level. So what that means is old supports become new resistance. So as this one bounced at 610, it had potential for profit from 610 to 640. That was very realistic for me. 30 cents profit for a $6 stock. That's not bad. 5%. So ended up doing just that. I messed up on my first initial trade and I shouted it out. I should have locked in my profit at 640. I got a little greedy. It hit highs of 643 if I'm not mistaken, and then it came right back down. I ended up stop lossing out at 635, and I did fine. I locked in $125 worth of profit, and that's great. But I could have locked in 5 more cents, or even locked in at that $6.43 because I saw it at that price. When it broke above 640, I called it out within our group chats. But I didn't. I just followed with the trailing stop loss. Really what I was hoping for was for it to continue to start rising to 670. And again, realistically, although that is possible, I should have just locked in my profits. And then if it broke above 640, I could have just jumped in again and then sold at that higher price and played it safer. But again, this is me trying to be a little bit less conservative. And I missed out in about 5 cents. No, nothing crazy, but it's just something to learn from, right? Ended up coming right back down, and I shouted it out again within the group. Hey, look, it's at support again at 610. It bounced at that same support. I'm going to jump back in, but most likely I'm going to stop loss out. And although I knew that because of just these smaller bounces that it was having, I thought my margin for profit or potential, right, going back to 640 or going back to, potentially 670 and losing 1 cent, because I knew the support was at 610, meaning that I was going to cut my losses at 6.09. And I did just that. I cut my losses. I lost like, $5, a little bit less than $5, nothing crazy. And then it continued to staircase down. And then throughout the day, as it continued to break supports, they became new resistance levels. And this is the crazy thing. I want to make sure that you guys see this. When it had a support, it was bouncing between the $6.10 because 610 was the previous support. Now it becomes a resistance, and then it breaks below it, and then now $6 is now the actual resistance, and now it's bouncing in between, $6 or $5.80 to $6, and it's probably going to continue to staircase down, especially with this low volume. There's going to be a bunch of people that ended up holding that are slowly going to write it down. This one did have a solid purchase price or solid support or bounce, whatever it is that you want to call it, around 630. So again, ideally based on how CBIO played out within the past month, that's not necessarily a bad purchase price. It has gone below, but it doesn't mean that you actually have to jump in at that specific price point. So this is just one that you can add to your watch list and set alerts and trade accordingly. Now, the second one that I ended up jumping in that I trade very often is JDST. So JNUG, although it ended, did very well. Again, this is aftermarket, pre-market hours, and then ended up breaking right above that. So the resistance at 730. We should be familiar with this. We've been trading this one for such a long time. So if we go back to 10-day analysis, you can see that it where it's at right now, it was here just a couple days ago. That's the resistance. It comes back down to about 660, and it does the same thing. And these are inverse companies. Like, this is the bear. JNUG is the bull ETF, meaning that they pretty much fluctuate accordingly. So if I click on compare, and then I click on JNUG, it will actually resemble almost an identical. If you guys can see that. This is JDST, so when it goes down, this is JNUG goes up, and then when JDST goes up, JNUG goes down. And this is the comparison that I want you guys to see. Overall, I knew that there was a strong support at 1290, and I ended up buying twice at that price point. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my, let's see how do I remove it, right here. I'm going to end up just talking about my support at 1290, my resistance at 1330. My good buddy James asked me, where is it that you're buying in? It was actually around this time where I was going in for the second time. I knew it had potential to drop in a little bit lower. I think it hit lows of 1285, but I knew that there was a strong support at 1290, meaning that I wanted to make sure that it broke above it to make sure that I'm catching it on the way up. And I did just that, and I did it twice. My first time, because I knew the previous support was around 1340, 1330, I knew it was going to be a resistance. And again, knowing that the support was at 1290 and the resistance was around 1330 and 1340, I set my stop loss at 1330. It went in a little bit higher. Didn't nearly hit 1340 because I was planning on selling there, and then came back down. Stop lossed out, locked in my profit, and I'm totally fine with that. Came back down again, and again, I was patient. I didn't want to jump in right away, although I did have, nice solid bounces, I wanted to make sure that my risk was going to be worth it, especially because on my first trade, I went in with a little bit over $5,000. And this is one because I've been trying to risk a little bit more with companies or ETFs that I'm familiar with. And then again, it played out on my second trade. I ended up going in with $3,000, a little bit over $3,000, and then cut it at the bounce at 12.90, and then ended up closing after market hours. I'm up a little bit over $37, and that's just fine. So I think the potential that this one has to open tomorrow, as long as it continues this trend of, JDST has a red day, then the next following day it has a green day, and it's been doing that consistently. It doesn't mean that it's always going to do it, but it just means that it's common. And that's really just it. So I understood that I was really busy. I understood that I had to manage my risk, especially because of me being so preoccupied. And I wanted to make sure that I did that with companies or stocks that I'm familiar with. So overall, I decided to jump into ETFs or stocks that I was familiar with. I set up a plan and I played accordingly. Other than that, I didn't do anything special. There were a series of stocks that you guys called out for CCCL and CCCR. Those ended up doing very bad. We're breaking below support of $2. I believe they both had supports at $2, and they both went to 52-week lows, which are crazy. So you guys should have had your stop loss there, knowing that that was a really strong support. The same thing with TNXP. It opened very strong, but always you want to make sure that within the first 10 minutes, there's always going to be a huge correction within huge pumps. It's most likely going to start dropping down if it breaks below EMA, and you want to make sure that you catch it at the bounce. Don't just jump in because it's seen a lot of volume. You want to make sure that you're catching it when it's going up. So make sure you use your indicators as an EMA, use different indicators like as an RSA, or whatever it is that you know how to identify potential in. I'm going to start answering about 2 questions, and then we'll go ahead and end it there. So thank you guys again so much for watching. If you guys haven't done so already and you guys want to be a part of TechBit Solutions and want to learn a little bit more about trading, the link is provided for you down below. I'd love to be a part of your success. And again, it's a free networking group, and what we do best is sharing best practices and sharing mistakes. And I'm sure everyone within the group chat would be more than welcome to accept you and try to teach you their best practices in an effort to see growth within you. Okay, well, one of the things that's saying, who is that? The Ugage says, damn, Ricky, liking the setup behind it. This is actually my friend's place. Ray G says, you're the man. I appreciate it, man. What did you start trading with money-wise? Well, I started with the $3,500 that I lost. If you guys haven't seen that video, it was my biggest loss, and that was at age 14. What's the best book on day trading you ever read? I've actually haven't read anything about trading. It's all based on just best practices and learning from my mistakes. And although people can view that as bad, I'm not ashamed. I don't want to say oh, I learned this from this or this from this. It's really just I'm self-taught, but I don't want you guys to have to learn from your mistakes when you have us and when you have those resources. So definitely I would ask a lot of people within our group, they have really good books that they could recommend. So I definitely don't want to discourage you. And I know there's a lot of good information that you can learn from. Plans on making the great networking group even better. So this is by Shankid. Jaha says, plans on making the great networking group even better. Once we do launch the TechBit Solutions platform, we do have a series of filters and just group chat alerts and systems that we're going to have set up for you that I think are going to make it that much better for those that are using Robinhood, since we know a large following of ours uses Robinhood and doesn't have certain alerts or notifications or different indicators to let them know and keep them up to date on how their stock is doing. And we want to make sure that the platform that we provide can offer you that. Someone says, how's the bike? It's good. As you guys can see, my hair is super messy. I've been riding the bike today, so I do apologize if I don't look very presentable. Do you think I'll ever make an ebook if you haven't already? I'm not much of a writer, and that's just going to be something that I'm going to have to look down the road. I do have a buddy, Justin, who's one of the moderators within our Facebook, our TechBit Solutions Facebook platform, and he loves writing books, and he's really into that, so I don't know. So Cheeky Farmer says, just started with Robinhood, so happy. I'm really happy to hear that. In this new platform you're making, a new website or something, it is going to be a new website. It's going to be TechBud Solutions. It's going to be our own networking platform. So yeah. Do I have over $25,000 on your account to day trade? I do. Any ideas of maybe having moderators? I already do. I already have 3 or 4 people that actually help me with that, and more to come. Am I using Fidelity to trade anymore? I am. I usually trade with larger cap stocks. Did I trade NADL? And that's by Jose Cornell. I did not. Do I have trouble jumping out of a stock? This is by Ricky Ricardo. Although that's a really big hesitation within day traders and knowing where to either jump out to lock in profits or jump out to cut losses. I think one of the biggest issues for people are to cut losses. And I think I've learned based on my experiences pretty well that if I don't cut losses, I'm going to see a red day or just a bad day overall. And I'm pretty good at cutting my losses at either right below support or less than 2.5% at most. So I do pretty well with that. And it's just all about, again, I'm nothing special, but it's just about knowing that if I want to do this in the long run and want to see profit, I have to cut my losses short and quick. Because the only way that you're going to see growth is if you can minimize the loss that you take. So Ed Dog says, Ricky Hart, thank you for all the knowledge that you're giving out. You know, I wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for all of you guys. So thank you guys for, you know, putting time aside. You know, time is very valuable, and for you guys to dedicate this time to me is something that I can't thank you guys enough for. So I'm more than happy to be doing this for you guys. So Jose Cornell says, I'm asking because most people started with Timothy Sykes. Well, I'm going to make a video later on about how I started, just because that gets a little bit more into it. I don't want to make this video too long, so I do want to thank you guys. Okay, I'm just going to answer one more question. Demon209 says, do you use software to scan for potential trades? No, within our technical analysis group chat within TechBud Solutions, I actually put out pretty much about 10 to 15 stocks again that I'm looking at, and then pretty much it gives you guys understanding for what I'm keeping my eyes on. And I encourage everyone within the group to start putting, you know, their own technical analysis so people can kind of learn from that. And then from there, pre-market, I allow that to be another filter to filter out and just keep me to 2 to 3 different stocks. So thank you guys again so much. I can't, you know, again, thank you guys enough for everything that you guys do for me. And if there's any questions or any suggestions that you guys have, please join TechBud Solutions and then DM me through the group chat platform, or you can comment below. Because I've been receiving so many comments, it's really hard for me to keep up with that. So the best way for me to get back to you would be through the group chat to DM me, not just tag me, because there's thousands of messages that are distributed every day. So I want to make sure that I read your message. And that's really just it. We just hit a little bit over, I believe, 8,175 subscribers within our YouTube channel. So if you guys could subscribe, you know, we'd greatly appreciate it. If you can't, then, you know, that's totally okay. If you guys found this video helpful, you know, give it a thumbs up, and we appreciate the support. Anything that you guys can say or do that allows us to know that we're doing a good job or what we can do better. You know, I'm very open-minded when it comes to making this group the best I can for you guys. So I'd appreciate anything that you guys can say or do, an effort for us to make it more personable and more useful for you guys, because that's why we're doing this. So that's really just it. Thank you guys, and hope you guys have an amazing week. Let's make sure that we end this year on a green note. Take care, guys. 5:30 Mountain Standard Time. Watch out for our helpful video. Take care, guys. Bye.